about explaining to liberals why they shouldn't be liberal. And
Okay,
why,
don't save it for the interview.
Oh,
Okay.
are we starting yet?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Okay, I need your card. Or
Actually,
you don't have the card?
I am media. I'm not supposed to be media.
It's all right, it's okay.
Whatever.
We're here with Kira Innis. I think I may have interviewed some relation of yours, Mr. Innis,
Yes.
and she's with CORE. She was talking about liberalism, and we wanted to talk about what is the mistake in liberalism. Have you been able to identify the essence of their flawed thinking?
Yes, the essence seems to be feelings over facts. It seems to be lies over truths. And the fact of the matter is that facts do not care about your feelings. It is what it is. It's the truth. And I think where liberals get it wrong, in addition to that, is they understand full well, the ones at the top, that their message is very much poisoned. But they can only stay in power if they keep the masses duped, lulled in a false sense, and keep them uneducated. And it's when they dumb us down that they're able to continue to take advantage of us. And I would say, as a black woman, that no group has been more victimized, more disenfranchised, more oppressed, and more belittled and hurt by the liberal democratic establishment than black people. And unfortunately, we let it happen for the last 50, 60 plus years.
Well, it's great that you're standing up and you're not worrying about being called an Uncle Tom or any of that nonsense, or whatever, all these things. Yeah, you can't pay attention to that. So let's try to identify what are the exact mistakes in their thinking. I think the liberals believe in redistributing wealth, right? And so that's how they try to get the votes, by spreading money, taking money from some groups to give to their special interest groups. Would you agree with that?
That's exactly right. They want to control the minds of the people, and they give us the cradle to grave entitlements. And basically, it's a giant mass patronization of, they're little black people. Just vote for us and we'll take care of you, cradle to grave. And what that basically says is that I, as a woman of color, I, as a woman, period, am not able to take care of myself. I, specifically, as someone who is a black woman, cannot fend for myself, cannot take care of myself, that I need the almighty savior of big government. I call bullcrap on that.
Yeah, that steals your dignity as a human being, right? Because your dignity is based on your own efforts, your own productive efforts, not on legalized theft, on stealing money from others, because that always has a perverse effect on your spirit, right?
Exactly. Not only that, but it diminishes your ability to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. If you are hooked, I would say that the liberal entitlement spending is almost like a drug. It's almost like a marijuana, if you will, or a heroin, because you will get hooked on getting lazy, not having to work for yourself. And what they have done, what the liberals have done, they have tapped into the human element that we all possess, regardless of what your color is. We are fallen people, we are sinful, and slovenliness, gluttony, laziness, it's not, a virtuous attribute. Therefore, it is a sin. They've tapped into that with the black people, got them hooked on having to just kind of laze about and not fend for themselves. Thus, once they ever decide to get off the slave plantation of leftist ideology, they have no idea. They've become so fat and unable to take care of themselves. They're like, oh, screw it. I can't live on the street. I need something. So, welfare check will come in the mail faithfully every week, every month, what have you, and they'll just stay hooked on that cycle. And because they de-incentivize the nuclear family unit being attacked, because women are incentivized at ages as young as 15, if not younger, to get pregnant, keep the father out of the home, thus the family is
That's
broken.
how it started, right? So they started giving women welfare if they had a lot of kids.
Yes, if they have a lot of kids and no father in the home, specifically black fathers, and thus their academic, thus economic situations are scarcely ever able to develop beyond those means, and thus they wind up with no other recourse but to receive government subsidies, and thus they wind up needing a bigger government. Thus they vote for the party of big government. And who's the party of big government? The Democrats. And
Right.
they had this plan from the beginning.
So you brought up a very important point, which is if you don't use your mind to be productive, your mind atrophies.
Yes.
And it falls into bad habits
Absolutely.
and laziness, because we all like to rest and be lazy, but but in fact life requires us to think and to produce. So what happens if everybody decides to be lazy and not produce? What will happen?
We essentially have a tyrannistic state where
Well, will there be